Okay, I'm Reverend Don, one of the staff ministers here. My pronouns are he and him, and I get today to chat with you about freedom. And once I got the opportunity, I knew I was going to be talking about freedom. It has been working me, giving me a lot of opportunities to explore what I thought I knew, and I'm just so excited to be able to talk about it this morning. So in order to create a little safe space for me, I need to share some things about me. So if I do something and say something that irritates one or all of you, you'll sort of know where it came from, okay? Full disclosure. I love decision making. I love self-determination. I think it is the best thing since sliced bread or anything. Matter of fact, I used to volunteer to make all your decisions for you. Like you say, like the song said, you learn and you keep going. I don't do that anymore. I've learned that my love for self-determination and decision-making means that I get to respect your decisions and decision-making and self-determination. For in my respecting yours, we create a space that supports both of us. And so they call it a journey for a reason. So we learn things and we become aware of how we can do things differently and still get to love the things we love and support others in theirs. So that's one of the things you need to know about me. The other that I'll share right now is I also love rules and regulations. Yes, I got a supporter in the back. Most people think rules and regulations are limiters. I just love them because it's like having guardrails and ideas and suggestions for how I can do something. I'm a CPA by training a long time ago. We have lots of rules. I mean, it's just, way too many rules. But I love tax. I love the regulations, the tax law. Not to do anything illegal. I know people who did that. I didn't, but I'd love to work with those rules and regulations to see how we could use them legally to do better business or to do things we wanted to do. Rules and regulations are just, for me, and I live in a world now, my business, jumping around, that I live with nothing but rules and regulations. It's government work. It involves the government. It involves lenders. Just stacks of rules and regulations. But yet, when I look at them, I see them just as opportunities and ways to do business and do my life in ways that support me and let me support others. So with that background, I'm going to give you an out. Freedom is a big topic. My title for this week is Freedom, It's Messy, and It's Worth It. Now, when I approach freedom, I'm going to come from a place that's really meaningful for me. So the out is, if you're really happy with your life right now, it's copacetic, you're just trucking right along, life's good, you're the bird in the air, it's flying around, you might just want to go get in line for the cookout or coffee downstairs, have some snacks, or maybe go help set up. Because if you're really happy where you are, I don't want to ruin your day. Because what I'm about today is about living an extraordinary life and how we can shift and what we can do to create an extraordinary life. And it's not easy. There's some challenges. So that's why I say, if you just want to keep status quo for another week, I won't say a word to you till later. And so, but that's how I wanted to start, to give you this space, because here's what's so important to me as I approach this talk and approach freedom and free will. My intention for this day, my prayer has been that the divine will somehow move through me, this room, It's allowing me to be invitational to you and all those online to come together around the idea of using our free will, our freedom, to create a world that works for all, that brings more life and harms no one. That's the gist of today. If you're on board with that, I'm glad you're here. And that's just where we're going to go next. Now, notice that I've been using free will and freedom. They're not interchangeable. They get associated together a lot. But I wanted to talk a little bit about those two so that we know how I'm using them. The really short definition of free will is our innate power to choose and create. Our innate power to choose and create. Jerry pointed out this morning, we're all expressions of the divine. Those pictures, even that picture of the whatever it was looking at, that is all part of the divine. And so we are all in that. So we have this innate ability, as the divine does, to create, to choose and to create. That's our free will. Freedom comes from consciously using our free will, exercising it in alignment with spiritual principles. So we have our free will, and then our freedom comes from using that free will in ways that align with spiritual principles, spiritual law. Ernest Holmes had a nice piece that I'd like to share with you regarding this idea of freedom and free will. It comes from the Science of Man magazine article, which we have a magazine that gets published every 2 months that has a lot of inspirational things and other ideas from our teaching. If you'd like to check it out, we probably have some downstairs. This is from one of the issues. We are at liberty to choose what manner of life we shall live. We should feel that in this choice, we are backed by all of the will, all of the purpose, and all of the spiritual law in the universe. Our reliance is on this law and order, the divine law and order. It is the creative agency of all life, and at the same time, our use of it is personal and individual. We are each using divine law individually and personally. And here is all the freedom one could ask for, and all the freedom that the divine mind itself could possibly give to us. The freedom to act as an individual, the freedom to give full rein to our creative imagination, the freedom to do this, at least temporarily, in such a way as to produce discord instead of harmony. And more importantly, the freedom to produce harmony instead of discord. That's the relationship that I think we want to look at with freedom and free will. The ability to use the spiritual law and our ideas and our dreams and our wishes and intentions to create a universe, create a world that works for all of us. Now, what I really love, and probably why I shared this one, is because he says it's okay to do discord. I love discord, especially when it's in the vein of Brene Brown's Rumble, where we come into a situation and the discord is done with vulnerability and an openness and a willingness to not necessarily be right, but get it right. That's the discord that's being talked about here, to bring that. Because in discord, we get to see new ideas. And out of discord, a lot of times, new space gets created for something that we truly want. We come back to harmony. And the reason I talk about discord, I did a little blurb on discord, and because I really don't think we're ever going to be free of it. But we can have a journey, different journey, and that's part of what's next. So this month is freedom. Kathy Ann spoke last week. I hope you heard it. If you didn't, I encourage you to go listen to it. It's available. She had a lot of good ideas, some good questions, some good techniques. And there was one part of that that really kind of caught with me. It was a part where she said, everybody's, trying to thinking they're making free choices, to have free will, and they're doing things fresh and have these new thoughts. When you look at studies, it shows that 95% of what we're doing and thinking and how we're operating is pretty much by rote. It's habit. It's the neuron. It's the pathways we have wired in. Because our brain, and its humanness, brain, likes to keep things simple. It doesn't want to burn calories. It wants life simple. So if it's given a choice of going to straight line somewhere, it'll go to straight line. We think we are moving and changing always at choice. Not always. It's something you can strive for, not necessarily. So she said that 95% number, and I'm like, okay, that's probably true. I mean, how often do you change the route you go to work? By your choice. Have you ever tried to stir your tea the other way from the way you normally do? If you do that downstairs, please get some napkins. Habits are powerful. That's the realm we're living in. But all week, that's kind of been niggling at me. And finally, it hit me. Wait a minute. There's 5% unaccounted for. She said 95. There's 5%. 5% is a real number. If you do math and you play with percentages, that's getting in the real numbers. That's way more than 1. So 5%, so I said, well, I can work with that. I like numbers. I can do something with 5%. 5% becomes the realm of possible. It's possible. And so what do I need to do? How do I look at that? How do I use this 5% I've got? What can I do to make a shift? I really want to have a new thought. Add a multiplier. Now, 5% just as a number by itself is doesn't mean anything. But 5% applied to creating a new thought, along with the idea of time and distance, begins to create real possibilities and real change. And I came up with a way to show this with nobody getting hurt. And so, if I'm standing right here and looking toward the back, it is a straight line to the back door. Take a left, I'm free. I can go get in line and get a hamburger today. I can go straight, take the stairs, go down and get coffee and snacks, take a right, check in at the registration desk or get a drink of water. The mind is thinking that's the way to go. Well, what if I exercise my 5% solution here? So as I start to come down from here, instead of going straight, I veer 5%. What happens? Well, I'm going to start running into chairs, for one thing. Obstacles to my new thought, if you will, my free thinking. And some of you may have noticed, very quickly, there are people in these chairs that I'm going to run into. So I need to stop and maybe think about this a little bit. But when I thought about it, it was interesting. So the people in the chairs, as I'm heading towards them, what kind of reactions am I going to get? Now, I'm a big guy. Somebody's going to look at me coming and just go, I'm out of here. There's going to be I'm out of here, I'm gone. There'll be the others that'll look at me, Jay, and say, you can just go around me. I was here first. And he would say it lovingly. And then there's going to be the person or two that says, you look like you are on a mission. Can I help? So we see all of humanity in 15 feet here. Folks who not interested, folks who are set in their positions, and others who are looking, I'm ready to help. That's the beauty of humans. I mean, you never know what you're going to get, but usually you can work with it. And so I looked at that 5% and thinking, what does that, there's a lot that can happen. And we haven't even talked about the people sitting on this side of the room. They're going, what is he doing over there? We're more spiritual than they are. He should be coming over to our side. We'll help. We've got more resources, something. But humans are just amazing with their ability to make up stories. And so, but in that example, but you get to see that as you want to change your thought, you're going to run into things like obstacles. You're going to run into people who might not want to see you change. You might run into anything. There's some keys in it that as you make a change, some things may need to be let go of. It's maybe a time of release. If you release, my recommendation is that whenever you release with love. You bless whatever you're releasing into wherever, back to the light, into whatever the next expression is. And where that thing was in your life, you fill that space with divine light, with energy, with love. Whatever release, never leave an empty hole. Fill it up with love. Fill it up with the divine energy into that space that has been created by releasing something which no longer works. There's also, just to be aware that spiritual practice, and you always hear me tell spiritual practice, is really helpful if you're going to create a new thought. Now, spiritual practice may not move the chair for you, but spiritual practice is what gives us the courage and the strength and the will to continue on in the direction we've chose. And so, and I will also remind that the only spiritual practice that matters is the one you'll do. Use that practice. And then also get support. Support. We have a room full of practitioners. We have online prayer all the time. We have ways that you can get support. There are tune-ups on July 27th. Come get support celebrating your new idea that you're working with and get support in however you're working with it. Those are things that support the idea of a free will and moving forward. The challenge with free will, or the challenge with free will, new ideas, is they are hard. Short story, way back, I was in corporate finance. I became aware of a company before social responsible investing was a thing. The company that was trying to raise funds to do things that for good. And I thought that was a really good idea. Something inside of me went, yes, let's do that. Now, of course, I figured I could do that without any change on my part. It's just, again, calorie conservation. And I tried. I checked boxes. I did things, was looking at how to do that. And it didn't go the way I thought it would. But what I learned as I went along doing it the old way, checking the boxes and trying to get there, I became aware that for me to make that big a shift in my thinking, I was going to have to make some big changes. And the universe stepped right in and helped. And the idea that grew out of that was the idea of doing good and doing well. It's an idea that it's part of how I run my business, is how I live my life. But the journey of making that from that first stirring into something that I practice took a lot of work. It was hard. It was tired. There were days that I wondered whose idea was this? And yet I know it was certainly at least partly mine, if not the divine's mind as well. So the fun thing about getting to do a talk is you can look for ways to try and shift the view of this point that I'm trying to make. So everybody has, on TV, radio, newspapers, social media, YouTube, all those places, you're always getting the chance to see commercials for medications. You notice there's a pattern. They always start, life is so good in the commercial. They're smiling, they're laughing, they're happy, all that kind of good stuff. And then around the bottom of the things, the scroll of all the ways that this medicine could kind of ruin your day. Or they tell you out loud, how this might ruin your day. So I decided the best thing for me to do was create a warning label for free will and freedom. So here's my proposed warning label. If you choose to accept this mission, I will not self-destruct. But here's some things that would be on the warning label if I wrote it for free will and freedom, putting that in your life. Number one, there will be a sharp increase in WTFs in your life. That one's true. That's why it was number one. If you choose to make that 5% shift, there will be questions and curiosities and confusions that will show up in your life because it's not the same anymore. Also in the warning label, you will be having insights. As in, if I started walking that direction, the first insight I would have is there is a chair in the way. Shortly after I hit it with my legs, I will get insights about things that are changing in my life and things that are coming up. Because I'm exercising my 5%, other people around me are going to change. It's just going to happen. That's okay. They're self-selecting for what they're looking for in their free will. Respect that. It's okay. If you're on your path, allow them the grace to choose theirs. And as I said, if you're going to do this work and you feel like you need a nap, take the nap. It's hard work. You're burning a lot of calories. You're having to pay attention to yourself in new ways. There are new things coming at you. All of that takes energy. Self-care is really, really important if you're going to go with new thoughts, new ideas, free will, and exercising freedom. The other part on the medicine bottle is the suggested uses. So we should have some of those too, right? So if you're going to do free will and freedom, bring curiosity. Costco bucket-sized curiosity probably would good. Because life's going to be coming at you, and curiosity creates an opening to be able to see what's coming at you and play with it and have a chance to decide what's yours and not. Back to the daily spiritual practice. Free will, freedom goes well with spiritual practice. If you miss a day, that's fine. God's not counting. Just pick it up when you're able. And just come back to the spiritual practice. It's about the practice, not a head count, not a counting number of times. And get support. I've already mentioned it. The practitioners are here. There are community groups here. There are ways to get support from this community that are just waiting for you to say yes to help. And then apply this idea of free will and freedom liberally, generously, all over your energy field. Oops, sorry. Use it. Go big if you're going to go. Let it just really wash over you. Find ways to allow that to come in. And create a space within you that's able to hold the idea that as I choose my free will, as we choose our free will and freedom, that we're going to come together in a way that allows us to create a world that can work for all of us. A world that has more life and harms no one. So if you like that idea, I invite you to join me in that prayer as we go through the rest of this month. To hold the idea in prayer of a world that works for all, more life, and harms no one. Let's pray. Another deep breath. It should be on the uses label. Lots of deep breaths. For in that deep breath, we tell our minds, our bodies, our spirit that we are in the place, that this is a moment of safety. This is a place we can relax and accept the wisdom that is coming to us, to accept the inspirations that are coming to us, to accept the support of this room, this community, for whether we are one-on-one in support or simply present here today, willing to be supported. That's all that's necessary. For we are on a journey of freedom, a journey of living the lives that we want to live. And it's in that journey we support each other, and we allow Spirit to lift us up, to lift our vision to a place where we can see the possibility. We can recognize that 5% and let that 5% support us in creating that life that we want to experience. I'm so grateful to be able to share with you this morning, to be part of this, and look forward to seeing how we unfold in our journeys. And we affirm that by together saying, and so it is. Thank you.